Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. My name is Sia Nejad, and we've got a great show for you today. I'm already seeing the chat buzzing. Some people hitting Banchero, king of the court, for 800 plus. We love to see that, and we know that was inspired by somebody on our recap screen. Prop Stars, a.k.a. Alex Selznick, hits that Banchero prop very easily. A lot of you cashed on the KOC thing over at DK as well. Tom Casale hits his play. Prop Stars 1 for 2. Jeff Hochman, Duke minus 17. They won by 44. Buckets goes 2 for 2, 1 for 2 on the SportsLine picks. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 and 3. We will take that every time, and we will take this cast every time on a Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, we got buckets. We got Martin Green. We've got Mike McClure, and we've got Jeff Hochman. Jeff, I'm going to go to you first real quick. I mean, the Duke thing, this is funny because we were talking about the comment where somebody for some reason said you should never lay 16.5 points. He was talking about Grambling State. Here we had Duke laying 17, and they basically tripled that spread.
Yeah, I mean, this was a no-sweat bet right from the start. It's always nice to see that. And I got a nice comment in the Discord last night. G Barn, he said, your words on Early Edge convinced me to load up on Duke. I put 3 units on that. You just love to see that.
You love to see that. Buckets, I got to let people behind the curtain a little bit here because about 5-6 minutes before the show, you emailed this entire group, and the lead of that email was something along the lines of, damn it, Martin. Is there something going on between you and him?
So Martin and I are just we're one mind, 2 bodies. You know, we share the same brain waves and brain cells. And I think that's a compliment to you. Symbiotic. Thank you. That's what I was about to say. You see, we're so linked. He submitted his play for the Juventus Galatasaray match, and it was the exact same play I was going to give. So just know that if it hits, it's technically my winner. But if it misses, that was Martin's choice, guys. That's not me. And so just want to get ahead of that.
Martin, your response? I feel like it's a little insulting that he says you two share the same brain.
Yeah, no,
that's it. Just a laugh.
He's far more intelligent than he looks, I promise you. We do seem to share the same brain because I was also on that Atletico Madrid Club Brugge boating for scoring over 2.5 goals pick yesterday, which cashed nicely. I had the same bet in the Inter versus Bodo Glimt game. That also cashed, and very shocking to see Inter Milan eliminated from the competition already. We could be left with no Italian teams in the Champions League round of 16, which would be an absolutely shocking state of affairs for Italian soccer. So, we've got some really interesting games to break down later on in the show. Looking forward to it.
All right. So we're going to start, Mike McClure. We're going to start the show with you. You've got a couple of picks, one for the Cognizant Classic and one in college basketball. But you're going to have to come back in later in the show because Buckets, I don't know if you remember, but every Wednesday you're rolling the dice to pick a one and done. And we'll answer one and done questions in the chat if you have them. But Buckets, do you have the dice available for later on in the show?
I've always got the dice available. You know I'm good to go. And I've looked at the board. I called it the Honda Classic growing up, but I get that you call it something different now. I'm excited to roll this because I know all of these names on the board. All 20 of them I might be betting. So
that was actually pretty impressive. Mike McClure, kick us off with some college basketball and then some golf.
All right, college basketball going to be a late night game tonight. Wisconsin on the road at Oregon. Certainly lean towards Wisconsin being able to get this job done. I like the first half, though. I'm going to go first half team total on the Oregon side. I'm going to go under the 34.5. I think this number closer to 32. And while you certainly are in for a sweat all the time, it seems, in a first half total in college basketball, I do like some of these edges here. When I look at this number, 35, I think is a pretty big ask for an Oregon team that's been very, very inconsistent. I think that this team, first of all, we've seen them many times land in the 40s and 50s for the entire game against this level of competition here. So it's a team that I don't love offensively. I have them well outside the top 100 in college basketball in terms of their offensive rating. Wisconsin does a phenomenal job at not fouling, not giving away free points. So I would not expect many free throw attempts, particularly early in this game on the Oregon side. Again, I think this number should be closer to 32. I'm going to go under 34.5 here for Oregon's team total. Again, I know people want to bet Wisconsin. I have no problem leaning into it. I know it's a road spot, late night game. I think that they ultimately win by probably 3 to 4 possessions.
All right. So we've got a college basketball pick, and then we're going to transition to the cognizant. You've got to play. This is a really unique play. And for the record, if it's unique to a certain sportsbook, please let us know. But Nikolai Højgaard is a guy that a lot of people like, including myself. Talk to me.
Yes, I like Nikolai Højgaard quite a bit. The play here is going to be the finishing position. So you see typical finishing positions, top 5, top 10s, top 20s, 30s, etc. You can also isolate just an exact over-under number here. This is over at DK, under 28.5. I like this number a lot. Yes, it's similar to betting a top 20 or a top 30 or a top 20 with ties. Very similar in general. However, in certain fields, I find there to be a little more edge despite the higher hold. These are minus 112s on both sides, so not your standard minus 110s. I still think there's room on some of these, on certain players. So if you want to use my simulations that are up on sportsline.com, you will see very clearly where I have every player in the field. I am very high on Højgaard here. I've been impressed with him, and I've talked about it a little bit with UCO. Whenever his brother's in the field and they're both playing at a high level, I think that it helps Nikolai a lot. And I like this setup for him. He's just been extremely good, really with the iron play and overall. The thing that I was encouraged with, he went to Phoenix in the waste management, played pretty well there, and that's a unique environment with the spectators and everything that is involved in that event. And the fact that he continued that solid form through that situation tells me that I think he's turned a pretty big corner here. So I like him to win the event, frankly. Love him in a top 10, top 20 market, but I really like isolating this exact score here, going to go under 28.5. Just the idea that he finishes 28th in this field and we are cashing this ticket, that is quite appealing to me.
Mike, yesterday on the early wedge, a couple people picked Nikolai Højgaard as their one and done. A couple of them, including myself, picked Ryan Gerard, and then there was an outlier. I think it was Alex Smalley or something. And I know game theory is involved here. So Højgaard's probably going to be a little popular. Gerard probably going to be a little popular. Lowry probably going to be a little popular. Would you be willing to play Højgaard?
I would. It's an interesting situation. I would also ask yourself, how is your season going so far already when kind of making that decision? We had Rory last week. I know you and I did. So we're not, we're maybe not leading tournaments, but we're certainly not off to the worst start in a one and done. So if you're in that situation while you're playing into the chalk for sure, I don't think that I'm going to be using any of these players all that often or, later this season. And the fact that we got the situation where we had 3 of the top 10 in overall win equity just simply withdraw from the event, that's big to me. So I will be playing into the chalk a little bit here. And I think it's fine. I'll probably play both Gerard and Højgaard, maybe both Højgaards, to be honest with you, and across my 4 entries and one and done.
All right, we'll get back to one and done later on in the show as we still have a dice roll to go. But Martin, let's get to some soccer. You've got a couple of picks. Apparently, one you just took from Buckets, according to him, of course. Who Buckets? You might be. I see the top button. I want to acknowledge it. Is that the same shirt as yesterday? You just threw on. Is this a uniform at this point?
I own one dress shirt, and so if I ever want a top button, it's going to be the same dress shirt.
I respect that. I'm in on that. Buckets. Martin. Give us a couple of soccer picks.
Thank you very much, Sia. I'm starting with that Champions League game that Buckets teed me up for. It is Juventus versus Galatasaray. Galatasaray, the Turkish champions, secured a very impressive 5-2 win against Juventus in Istanbul last week. They were 3-2 up when Juventus had Juan Cabal sent off, and they scored 2 late goals to wrap up a really heavy win. So that leaves this 2-legged tie in a really interesting position. Juventus are obviously on the brink of elimination. They're 3 goals down on aggregate, so they need to win by at least 3 goals today. That means they're going to really have to take risks and commit men forward from the very first whistle. I think they should be able to score because Galatasaray's defence is pretty brittle, but they'll also be caught on the counter-attack. you'd expect they'd be caught on the counter-attack several times, actually. They've conceded 15 goals in their last 5 games, so they're unlikely to keep this dangerous Galatasaray team at bay for 90 minutes. Just looks like another high-scoring game. So keeping it simple, combining both teams to score with over 2.5 goals at -125. That bet's paid off a lot for me in the Champions League lately. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm also looking at a game between Sheffield United and Coventry in the Championship, which is England's second division. Coventry are top of the table after winning their last 2 games. They beat Sheffield United 3-1 at home earlier this season, so I think they'll be full of confidence as they approach this away match. Coventry's away games have averaged 3.41 goals this season. They've scored in 15 out of 17 away games, but they've only kept 5 clean sheets on the road, so the defence is a bit of an Achilles heel for them. Sheffield United are also in fine form right now. They've won 6 of their last 8. They're soaring up the table. They've scored in each of their last 9 home matches, but they struggle to keep clean sheets too. Both teams to score in over 2.5 goals. My favourite bet at the moment. It's paid off in Sheffield United's last 6 home games. So I'm going with it again today at -105.
All right. We've got more soccer picks. Got a lot of soccer questions. Jeff Hochman, we have your pick to go as well, which we'll do after the break. But I want to remind everybody about the BetMGM sending somebody to Vegas, or actually many people to Vegas, because we got 25 winners for this one. This March, BetMGM is sending fans to Vegas. Opt in and place bets of $10 or more and earn leaderboard points based on your winning bets. 25 winners total will score a VIP trip to the Court of Legends with the Cavender twins, plus a 3-night stay at MGM Grand and Resort credit. Really good stuff from BetMGM as usual. Let's look at the SportsLine picks. We got a lot of NHL. We're going to hear more from Jeff Hochman when it comes to the NHL right after the break, but we've got a lot of SportsLine picks, like a lot on SportsLine. Mike mentioned his simulations. We've got a lot of NHL picks, of course. I mean, everybody who's part of SportsLine knows it's just super vast. Sportsline.com/join to join it. Toronto Maple Leafs +1.5, -125. That one courtesy of Tom Casale. The Kings money line -122. That one from Todd Furman. We're going back to Chip, who has been very hot on these SportsLine picks that we've brought onto the show. He likes Texas +6.5 at -108. Again, that one courtesy of Chip Patterson. It does look like that Kings money line play, by the way, has shifted a little bit to that -140 range. I wanted to point that out because I saw it right before the show. But be a part of SportsLine, get that juice locked in when Todd puts the bet in. All right, we got to take a quick break. We got to get to your questions. We got to get to Jeff and Bucket's pick, my pick. We got to get to the one and done dice roll right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Doug Levy says, if you could use a voice to dub over your own, I choose Martin's. We've got A-Mags in the chat as well. A lot more in the chat. We're going to get to your questions in a little bit. Jeff Hochman, you just saw 2 hockey picks, courtesy of SportsLine. You've got a hockey pick yourself at plus money.
Yeah, thanks, Sia. I'm going to go with the Utah Mammoth +116 when I put it in at SportsLine yesterday. It's down a little bit right now, but that's okay. Look, the Avs have a very stretch coming up here after the Olympics. Colorado is scheduled to play 5 games in 7 nights. It's very difficult. Colorado had 8 players in the Olympics. Actually, head coach Jared Bedard is considering resting his Olympians tonight. Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. It's a 3-day turnaround following that Olympic gold medal game. If they do play, their time on the ice is going to be reduced. And how much energy do they have now playing at high altitude in Utah? Also, reports indicated that McKinnon played through an injury he sustained after taking a hit against France in the Olympics. So, if you're looking at his props, I would be very careful. We had a question in the comments about McKinnon, anytime goal scorer. I'm not sure how much time he's going to play tonight, so I would proceed with caution on that one. And the Mammoth, they match up well with Utah. They allow they have a +101 shot differential. They rank 6th in shots against per game, and they also have a +26 edge in high danger chances. Haven't said that in a couple of weeks. After a lengthy break, break, they resume practice on February 17th, which essentially creates a mini training camp to prepare for this matchup. So I really like Utah at home tonight, plus money. And if you're looking for two other teams that had like a mini training camp during this time, the Anaheim Ducks and the Buffalo Sabres fit that bill as well.
All right, the Ducks and the Sabres getting a bit of a mini training camp. I love that analysis. Let's move along because we got a lot to get to. Buckets, you've got, I think, one or two soccer picks. I know you felt like one got taken away from you, so I don't know what you ended up with, but what's the card today on the early edge?
That's okay, because like Martin said, our brains are probiotic or whatever it is, so we're on the same page with each other. Two bets for this one. I'm starting with the matchup between Atalanta and Dortmund, and it's a bet that I rarely bet, and it is a straight-up money line on Atalanta at plus 120. Dortmund did exactly what they needed to do in that first leg at home, and that was create a multi-goal lead at home, because Dortmund, when playing at home, are a force to be reckoned with. They've won 5 of their 6 home matches in 2026, but on the road, we just see a different squad. Only 2 wins in 6 away games across all competitions, and even in that first leg, Atalanta didn't look like a bad side. I think they were just biding their time and trying to keep this close. They had a big win against Napoli over the weekend. I don't know if they're going to qualify. I think this is honestly going to be a 1-goal win for Atalanta, but I do like that money line being very playable at plus 120. And for my second bet, we're going to that matchup between Real Madrid and Benfica. Now, this match has been in international news all week long for some things that happened in that first leg. I'm not going to take time to go into that today because it's been talked about so much and because we are in a bit of a time crunch here. But ultimately, I expect Vinicius Jr. to have a very good game as he is going to do his best to make quite the statement in this fixture after problems against Benfica in that first leg. He is also in charge of penalty duties, taking the ball from the spot, while Kylian Mbappe is out for this game. He has scored in 4 of his last 4, and Real Madrid have seen 5 penalties in their last 6 fixtures across all competitions. I think Real Madrid are the better side. I think they're going to score multiple goals here, and as always, if you're going to see multiple goals with the form he's in, you got to believe that Vinny Jr. is going to play a part in that.
All right, Buckets, let's get to some soccer questions. I'm going to bounce a couple off you and Martin while we're talking soccer. Buckets, this one's for you. Jay Long says Dortmund over 1.5 team total plus 130.
Ugh. Well, that kind of goes directly against the bet I just gave out, so I'm going to hope Jay Long is wrong. I've got Atalanta winning that game, and if Dortmund's going to score 2, I would need them to score 3. I just see Dortmund playing a more of a park-the-bus variant of football this afternoon, knowing they have that 2-goal differential. They don't have to press as high. So I'm not a fan of it, Jay Long, but if it hits as always, you know your stuff, so I'll be happy for you.
Jeff Stenberg, Martin, this one's for you. Coventry team total over 1.5 plus 110.
Yeah, it looks like a really good set of odds. Coventry obviously are top of the table and they're in fine form right now. It is quite difficult to score at least twice away at Sheffield United, considering the form that they're in. That's why I feel that both teams to score an over 2.5 goals bet is just a bit safer, just in case Sheffield United pull off a shock 2-1 or 3-1 win. But yeah, if you want plus money odds, by all means, go for it, Jeff.
Mark Thomas Bucket says, I used to live in Eastern England. Huge Norwich fan. Do you think both teams to score over 2.5 and Canaries win?
This might be, I want Martin's feedback on this because he's probably going to know this a little bit better. I would assume that Norwich City do in fact win and probably score multiple goals. I wouldn't be confident in Sheffield Wednesday scoring. They're bottom of the table with only 20 goals scored in 33 matches. The BTTS aspect actually scares me a bit there, Martin, if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, completely agree. I think the Norwich win the game, and I think they'll score at least twice. Whether or not Sheffield United can score is another matter entirely. They're having a historically bad season. They've got players suspended. It's just not going very well for Sheffield Wednesday right now. So that would also be the part of the same game parlay that puts me off a bit.
Martin, I am Stanek says Millwall versus Birmingham. Both teams to score is minus 125. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it's going to be a particularly high-scoring game, but yeah, I can see both teams getting on the score sheet in that one. 2 relatively evenly matched teams. I think Millwall are the better team, but yeah, Birmingham are going well in attack at the moment, so both teams score is good. Yeah.
Buckets, any thoughts on that one?
I'm going to default to Martin on that one. I haven't even looked at that match, so would rather just go with his advice there.
Fair enough. Hey, Mike, we talked about the Florida-Texas game as one of the SportsLine picks. Of course, Chip had Texas plus 6.5. I saw something in the chat that I'm sure the audio listeners want to hear as well. Your model, and again, it's not an official pick from you, it's from Chip, but your model made that line a lot shorter, kind of in favor of Texas getting the points, right?
Yes. I have the number closer to 4 than 6.5. So yeah, I would be in agreement on the Texas side. I know there's a lot of interest wanting to back Florida. Good team. Texas, I think, is actually a little underrated at this point. So yeah, I have not locked it in and played it yet personally, but I did make the number 4 and would not be betting Florida minus 6.5.
Jeff Hochman.
I had a question for Mike.
Let's hear it.
St. John's is playing UConn tonight, Mike.
Yep.
My model came out with St. John's plus 4.5, and it likes it a lot at that number. I couldn't get there. It's a big revenge game for UConn. I'm curious to see what your numbers have on that game.
3.7. So I'm even tighter than you. In this one. So yes, right in line with it. The slight, I have a 148 instead of 147.5. I haven't gotten there on it either yet. If I were to play it, it would probably be Iceland. 6.5 is that's big. I had seen 4.5 before the show.
I would definitely lean to St. John's now.
Yeah, it's 6.5. If that is a true live number, I would first check to see if anyone has been ruled out in the last 20 minutes.
Good point.
So I'm seeing 5.5 and a 6.5, but I do see 5.5 minus 115 everywhere. Yeah, if you're catching 6.5, I would play St. John's.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be a close game.
Yes. So the only other alternative play that I could recommend here would be a St. John's team total over, would be isolating that side of it. They're currently 70.5. I think they have to get to 71 to win the game, but yeah, haven't locked anything in yet. We'll monitor it though. I've seen, you don't typically right now see on a big marquee game like this 2 points difference in a 30-minute window like this show's been. So going to investigate it a little bit, but again, it was 4.5 when we started the show on a couple of books.
Yeah, this is something I think you have to monitor, whether, like Mike said, whether maybe there's a player out or something, because that's a huge jump to happen just at 10 o'clock in the morning. I will say, from what I can see, BetMGM has the best number at plus 6.5. Notice some other places like Mike referenced have it at 5.5. There might be others at 6.5, but I know BetMGM, certainly nothing at 7 at this point, and BetMGM has the best number at the moment. All right, we got to do the one and done thing, but let me give out my round matchup for tomorrow morning. So if you're in the SportsLine Discord, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw I have like a handful of first round leaders, probably one or two too many, but one of them at 90-1 is Lee Hodges. I've got Lee Hodges in a round 1 3-ball matchup. That nomenclature is important. 3-ball matchup. Lee Hodges is at 7 in the morning tomorrow, so way before the early edge. Minus 104 over Matt Wallace. And this is a case of Lee Hodges did play on the West Coast swing, missed a couple of cuts, made a cut. Actually, in one of those tournaments, looked pretty impressive. West Coast swing, East Coast swing, Florida swing, vastly different setups. But I do like the fact that we saw Lee Hodges flash at least once over on the West Coast swing. But what I like even more is his course fit here and the fact that he's actually had really good success here. You look at Matt Wallace, hasn't really been playing well lately, hasn't really ever played well here at PGA National. So I really don't think Matt Wallace should be the favorite. Now, he is one of those guys who can get hot on approach, can get hot with the ball striking, and can flash from time to time. Like, he just shows up and then he goes absent for about 6 months and then he shows up again. But I'm going to bank on the history that Lee Hodges has here. I'm going to bank on the course fit and the fact that he's in at least decent form coming off the West Coast swing. So give me Lee Hodges, who I think should be the favorite, minus 104 over Matt Wallace in a round 1 3-ball matchup. All right, Buckets, are you ready to roll the dice for your one and done?
I am, and I'm ready for Mike to tell me that it's a wonderful play, and I'm going to do great this week, hopefully. So 20-sided die, we roll. We get 14. 5, 10.
Oh, boy.
Field, that's going to be fun.
M. Thorbjornsson.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Would
Yep.
be
That's-
was the 14th
You
on
lucked
the
into
table.
that one.
Yep. No, you're
That's
good.
not
You're in good shape there.
No problems with that one. We're gonna lock
No.
it in. All right.
Nope.
Theor Bjornsson is my man.
In
today.
fact, if he wins this tournament outright, I will get you a custom Thorpe Yankees jersey.
All right.
If
Where
it wins. Jeff gets one too. You both get one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Jeff Stenberg, the biggest Michael Thorbjornson fan in our chat right now. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I would say if he wins, I'll have 2 customized Yankees jerseys made with Thorpe on the back for you and Jeff.
his
That's amazing.
outright odds are 2,500. That doesn't seem crazy for golf.
No. He's
No.
he's
Okay.
probably one of the top 5 favorites currently
Nice.
to win. Yeah.
Bridgman was
Okay, so-
85 to 1 a couple of months ago or a month ago, and he almost won.
Yeah. 100 to 1.
Right,
Well, he won
Sia?
last week at 100 to 1. So the
The
one
fat
time I don't
finger
have money
bet
on
of the
Jacob
week.
Bridgman, he wins. Let's go to some. I like the upside for Thor Bjornsson is there. That's why he's just a great one and done pick. He's not going to be hyper popular. There's an 11 a.m. college basketball game. Jeff or Mike, have you looked at this Bucknell Army game? Because Sox Nation wants to know if you have a take on the -3.5 for Army at home. I think.
So
I
I
got
looked
nothing.
at it because I wanted to bring it to the show. I wanted us to have like that first half sweat in this game. It's one of the games that I'm like closest to market on the entire day. Like the entire day. The spread 3.5. I made it 3, so I'm a half point off there. The total I'm dead on. It's 42.5. I'm 42.6. Like I'm right there. I'd take the points if I had to, but I'm not going to play it. I wanted to though. I wanted to get there. Yeah, play it. I mean, if you're gonna need something to sweat, just play a first half under. Early morning game here. Play a first half under.
All right, we got at least a recommendation there. Mike, real quick, back to golf. Are you on Daniel Berger this week? Ryan's Fingers wants to know. I'm not on Daniel Berger. Home course situation, all of that, but it's not for me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to play a bunch of Berger. I'm trying to remember where I had everything here, but I don't think. Let's see. No, I mean I have pretty meaningful negative value. I've got him right inside my top 10, but Gerard, Nikolai, Shane Lowry, and Rasmus are swallowing up like all the win equity here. If I were to play Berger, it would probably be just to beat his finishing position like I did on the show with Nikolai. I would potentially play that, which I would guess it's in the mid 30s somewhere in terms of his finishing position. And that's probably the only way I would be interested in backing him.
Kylie Reynolds asks Hodges over Joel Damon. That's the matchup he has, -110 for round 1. Damon's another guy that can just pop randomly. I still lean to Hodges -110 though. That would definitely be a lean for me. Let's see. There was an important message from Steve Lochner, and I can't find it right now. Oh, there we go. So Steve Lochner, if you remember last week, his mom had a heart issue, was going in for surgery. He was asking for good vibes and just, positive attention in general. Well, he says, my mom's back at home recovering, guys, ! Everything went the way it was supposed to. So that is really good news. Shout out to Steve. Just like so many of you in the chat and listening on the podcast, a big part of this family. And that is just amazing news. We absolutely love to see it. Let me see if there's anything in the chat before we get to the recap screen. KC Nax is probably not the forum to answer that particular question. We'll get back to you on who we think is going to win a major as Masters season starts in about 6 weeks. We get to the Masters and then we really kick off the majors. All right, let's see the recap screen before we get everybody out of here, as I see really good cheer and positive vibes headed to Steve's mom currently in the chat. Round 1 3-ball matchup. This is at 7 in the morning tomorrow. Lee Hodges, one of my first round leaders at 9 to 1, -104 over Matt Wallace. Utah Mammoth moneyline +116, says Jeff Hochman. Atalanta versus Dortmund. Atalanta moneyline +120 from buckets, and Real Madrid versus Benfica. Vinny Jr. anytime goal scorer +120. Is it Vinny? Did I screw that up, buckets? Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
We're going with that. Juventus versus Galatasaray, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, -125, says Martin Green. And Sheffield United versus Coventry, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, -105. Mike McClure, Oregon first half team total under 34.5, -112. And Nikolai Højgaard finishing position under 28.5 at -112. SportsLine picks a lot of hockey today. Toronto Maple Leafs +1.5, -125, says Tom Casale. And the Kings money line, -122 from Todd Furman. Don't forget, I mentioned there's a lot of NHL SportsLine picks up on the site. So check those out. Again, this show is always just a microcosm, a fraction of the picks we have on SportsLine every single day. And again, not just a pick site. It's got articles. It's got simulations that Mike referenced, DFS picks, you name it. SportsLine's got it for every sport, including the SportsLine Discord. And finally, Texas +6.5, -108. That one, courtesy of Chip Patterson. Wow, what a show. Let's see. Chris Kish says, have a positive day all, manage the bankroll. That's good. That's actually a good call. Let's remind ourselves, let's have fun with this. We had a winning day yesterday, but they're not always winning days, whether you're taking our picks or not. Not everybody has winning days. So have fun with this, manage your bankroll, and obviously bet responsibly. Thank you, Jeff Hochman. Thank you, Mike McClure. Thank you, Martin Green. Thank you, Buckets. Thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And thank you, everybody out there, for watching us every day, hitting the like button, and just being a part of this family. Another shout out to Steve's mom. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, we rest our case.